And welcome back to the Nose Plays Age of Wonders 4. This is our double episode Tuesday. And we're going to pick up with part 6 after a very difficult fight in the Brigand's Refuge. One of my viewers, see if I can find his name real quick. Let's see here. Sorry. Should have been more prepared. Here we go. Slice99 comments that last fight was very difficult. It was like fighting yourself because we were both feudal. Fighting the feudal or the industrial civics with feudal can be quite difficult in the early game. And that's because those two civics in particular have a hard time with magic damage in that they don't have any of it. And so when they're fighting a faction that has a lot of physical resistance, like the feudal empire or the industrial empire, they tend to struggle with damage output. Even you'll notice during that fight we were landing a lot of critical hits, but the numbers just weren't very high. Part of that was due to the fact that we had taken damage on our units, and so we weren't at full strength when we were attacking. The other part of that had to do with the fact that their bannermen kept buffing their army so tremendously, specifically for physical resistance. And the only magical attack I had during that fight was my own bannerman, who wasn't constantly using his attack. He was doing support things. So that was a bit of a problem. One thing I did want to check here. I do have the option of switching out my lightning sword for a bow. And the bow still does physical damage, but it just allows me a little bit different type of attack. I think I am going to stick with the lightning sword for now. But we might end up putting that bow on one of our other heroes, now that we have 3 of them. Okay, so this is being added to our city. And this is also going to add military units. So let's take a look and see if there's any new military units. Does not appear to be. So no bonus military units, unfortunately. Actually, okay, here we go. So we're going to get a Brewer Ogre and a Butcher Ogre in the Rally of Lieges by having this. The next Rally of Lieges won't be for a few turns still. We're getting a little bit of Imperium and a bunch of research. Also that penalty. Slice just joined the chat. You've only missed about 2 minutes of me explaining your comment and having a little bit of discussion on your comment from the other video this morning. So we talked. I talked briefly about that fight and why I thought it was such a struggle. But yeah, we just started, so you're here for the long ride if you want to be. Good to have you. All right, so let's go ahead and reassess my plans. So I currently have 3 heroes. I have basically 2 armies. I think my plan is to use our Rally of Lieges to create a 3rd army. And then we're very close to being able to declare some type of justified war on the Molemen and start pushing them back. We're also getting close to vassalizing Halheim and Souleville. So if we get both of those vassalized, we'll be able to sort of push them in from both sides, which will be good. They won't know what's coming. It looks like this city actually was in a really good spot to expand and be quite large if it wants to be. There's still quite a few nodes that haven't been captured yet. And then another minor wonder down here. So that might be something that one of our heroes goes and does at some point to level up. But yeah, let's start working on getting our military up to snuff. So I was kind of contemplating using this hero in the army with the animals. So we were going to create some animal armies. And one way to create animal armies that I hadn't talked about yet, besides just summoning them, there's this building called the Wildlife Sanctuary. If you use this building, it will replace one of your farms, quarries, or one of these other structures. It counts as a forester unit for the purposes of boosters, but it unlocks animal units that can then be produced. And most of the animal units cost mana per turn in upkeep, but it lets us generate wild animal units from our cities, which is kind of cool. So that might be something that we want to put down. The levy camp is another interesting one. It counts as a farm and has a substantial amount of food boosting potential. In addition to that, I thought that it also has the option to be used as a unit deployment location. And what that means is when you create armies, they automatically deploy on your city center. However, you can activate certain structures like this one, and it will instead generate your army production in another location. So if you have a single city with a very large amount of domain, you can actually set a position to the front of a fight and deploy your units much closer to the engagement. So that's pretty cool. Wonders will often have this function as well, and I believe if we read this, this can also be used as a unit deployment location. So that's another option if you are looking to get units closer to the front. Unfortunately, not much use in this particular city's case, but in the case of, say, a city like this that can stretch out here quite a ways, we could deploy units, a little bit further. So, all right, so let's go ahead and end the turn. Yeah, nothing left to do. Okay, Reckless Incinerators. Battle Quest to slay 4 units. This is a nature one. We could destroy this for a nature's boon. Ignore it or cause a crisis and lose some stability and mana. But we gain a Magma Spirit unit. I don't really need a Magma Spirit unit. So we'll go ahead and fight this and see where it ended up. Okay, so just to the south of us. We shouldn't have too much trouble with the stack of 4, even if they're stronger units. And we can see that despite taking a lot of damage because of our healing buffs that I've picked up throughout the game, Lionel Johnson's already back to almost 50% of his health, and the rest of the stack is in pretty good shape as well. So this is going to be another turn of healing for him. And then let's go ahead and take a look at this. So let's see, that's 150, 200, 270, 80, 280. We need one more turn in order to buy this army out. So I'm going to go ahead and wait one more turn and let this cash roll over, and then we'll just buy a stack for one of these 2 heroes. The other hero, I do want to summon another animal for and get an animal stack going. +1 magical resistance. This could be useful. It only counts for shielded units. When entering defense mode, all units adjacent also receive a bonus magic resistance. This could be pretty useful going up against the Mole Man, because if I'm not mistaken, he's Chaos Demonic Warlord. It doesn't give us a lot of information about his civic. Oh wait, here we go. So they're barbarians. Okay. Barbarian mana channelers and shadow walkers. They are resolute, so they have the same resistances to, or similar resistances to status effects, and then desert adaptation. And they're cat people, so he's a wizard king. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Barbarians are going to generally have poison damage on their first attack. It's one of their special abilities. So they are going to have a little bit of extra non-physical damage, but it sort of falls off as the fight goes on. Alright, so let's move these units together. And then we'll move... I guess I probably should have done that in reverse. And then we're going to be able to buy that next turn. So you guys just wait there for a turn. Rainbow Clover. We're looking for a Tranquility Pool and Silver Tongue Fruit. So if we happen to see those, that would be good. Oh. Yes, please. Can I afford this? Not yet. So Guardian Spirit Wolf is pretty powerful. It's a pretty strong animal unit. If you have some bonuses to animals, it can be pretty useful. What is this one? Collect 10 gold from vassals. So this could help solve some money issues, depending on how many vassals we have when we pop it. This one is doing just fine. Do we have anything to trade worthwhile? Actually, kind of. I could trade 15 mana crystals for 12 gold. Gold is more valuable to me at the moment, and our mana is high enough that I don't feel bad about losing a little bit of it. Okay, and then this one has also moved up. So our income should be slowly getting better as these vassals get more friendly with us. I do actually have enough mana to cast Animal Kinship, which is just a general boost in damage and crit chance to all cavalry and animal units, and there's no upkeep for it. It's a fairly expensive spell and takes a couple of turns to cast, but let's go ahead and get that activated. And roll the turnover. So I have a feeling that this could go one of two ways moving forward. Oh, another free city underground. They actually kind of like us. We do have clashing affinities. So they're primarily in shadow affinity, which is the opposite of nature. But everything else is pretty positive. Unfortunately, I don't have another stone to give them at the moment, so we're just going to have to sit tight and remember that they exist. Another trade is possible. 8 gold for 12 food. I think we'll just hold off on the trades. Which one of these do we want to research? I should have picked one of these earlier. 90% chance of inflicting sundered defense, which reduces enemy defenses. This is the one that we need. If we get stuck against a unit with high physical damage, like another feudal lord or a industrial lord, this is the one that's going to knock a lot of their defenses off, and it's going to affect more of our units. So let's go ahead and grab that. All right, so we are basically back to full health, and we can see that that is a pretty nasty enemy. So we might want more than one stack to fight him. Also, we have the money to pull this off. So let's go ahead and grab all of these, 270. Down here at the bottom, you have two options. One of them is cheaper. And what this does is you can buy these units and give them to a vassal to help secure their defenses. You will not have any control over those armies, but they will pretty much stay in your vassal's territory, and they will be used in defense if you get into fights near there or if enemies AI try to attack them. So if you have a vassal sort of buffering you between a hostile AI player, giving them a bunch of these armies really cheaply can be a way to slow them down or even stop their push. But we want control of them, so we're going to send them to our city. It's going to cost us more, but it'll only be 2 turns. And then in another 6 turns, we'll be able to do this again with more units. Different units too. Okay, let's get the new hero down here. And let's see, I need one more turn to get the wolf. And you can just sit tight for a moment. Wait on that army to arrive. And I think that's it for this turn. So turns are going to start rolling by very quickly. But as I was saying earlier, I think one of 2 things is going to happen. We're either going to very quickly steamroll this player, grab this vassal, and then steamroll this player, and then have a hard time finding the last one. Or we're going to stall out and get into a bit of a slugfest. So my previous playthroughs, I've had both types of experiences. We should be getting pretty close to the turn when that grievance is going to trigger that we created. I don't see any kind of a countdown or anything for that, but it said 5 turns when we activated it. See all of our scouts still running around. We may want to round all of our scouts up and start putting them into an army as well. Alright, just continuing to move up here. So that's going very well. Okay. So this is a situation where we have a small grievance, but they have multiple grievances against us. For trespassing, that might be our scouts. We stole a vassal city from them that they were working on. We trespassed in their domain a couple of times. And so what this means is the difference between these two is the war justification. So it's not just how much of this you have, it's how much of it they have as well. And so for us to declare war would be unjust, but it would actually be a just war for them to declare. So that's an important distinction to make. They also really don't like us. they did a denouncement. So this incurs a relationship penalty for all AI rulers that know both me and this character. Basically, you're telling everybody that I'm a bad dude, and so people are going to be a little bit more leery, and it's going to affect that relationship modifier, this thing right here, Empire Relations. So we'll have a small penalty applied to all other AI players that know both of us. All right, Animal Kinship is ready to cast. More damage, more crit. I'm all about it. Also, you may notice that all of our eyes went green and we now have like very furry arms. So we're kind of like werewolves, I guess. I always wondered why my eyes went green. I didn't realize it was a spell for the longest time. I actually thought it was a bug down here in my portrait. But yeah, when you cast that animal kinship spell, your eyes go green and you get furry. All right, so we've got the Tithe Shrine produced. We just wanted to get more of the economy-based buildings that were pretty cheap. So we'll just throw that in the queue for now. And then the question is, do we need to expand? This is going to happen naturally in 2 turns, and I'm saving my Imperium for some very important uses, specifically this one, which is going to give me the Wolfie Boy. And these things have really massive movement. So we can actually get all the way down to here. But this unit, when paired with the Wild Speaker, is pretty disgusting. Unfortunately, I can't do this fight this turn unless I want to do it on my own. And I really don't, because I kind of want to get some experience on this other stack. Alright, so Signet of Knighthood. This is an interesting ability. Every civic, every faction has one of these. What this does is it basically applies the feudal benefit of stand together to all non-feudal units. So that can be pretty handy if you have a lot of units that you've picked up through Rally of Lieges or animals or other types of units that aren't feudal and don't naturally have the stand together trait. This is one way to apply it. The other factions will have a similar trait, but it'll be for whatever their thing is. So for the high culture, it's the awakening trait. For the shadow culture, it's the cull the weak trait. Slice mentioned in the comments that he hasn't finished a game yet, but he keeps trying new combinations, only 50 hours in. Some of these games can take an awful long time. I would highly recommend, if you want to play a game to completion, playing on a smaller map, like 3 or 4 players, and see if you can't get through one of those in a reasonable amount of time. You won't get to the end game stuff in most cases playing that way, which is fine for your first few playthroughs, but you will start to collect some of those Paragon points, which is kind of neat, and start unlocking some of that stuff a little more quickly. But I've been taking anywhere from like 50 to 70 turns to finish these 4-player matches. This particular spell, though, while it's pretty useful, it can also get very expensive if you have a lot of these units, because it's 2 mana per unit, and we have 3 of them. That's not very many right now, but it can add up rather quickly. Unfortunately, I'm not really wild about any of these spells. Call of the Wild maybe could be useful. I could also just shuffle my research for some new spells. And since we have the mana to do that, let's go ahead and get some new ones. Okay, so Hold the Line is kind of like that Undying Loyalty ability that I triggered, where it basically prevents a friendly unit from getting killed. If they hit 0 hit points, they'll always remain at 1 hit point until the effect wears off after 1 turn. So this can be a really cool way to save the lives of units. But I do think because we have a couple shielded units, and we may eventually get some more magic damage enemy types, that could be good down the road. I think I'm gonna just move up to here just to get a little bit more movement. And we'll just wait there for the rest of the army to show up. This army should be coming next turn. What else did I have in mind? Anything? We could speed this up, but I don't really need another army. One thing I do want to do is we have 4 scouts running around on the map. I could start rounding all of them up into an army, because they've pretty much scouted everything. I do see my silver tongue fruit over here. That's Archaon blood. Yep, there's a tranquility pool. So if we could take over this city, we can get that 3rd magical material, so that'd be good. So one little tip, when you hit the end turn button, if you have it enabled, it will kind of show you everything that's going on. You can always just left click on your hero's portrait down here at the bottom of the screen, and it will automatically take you back to your hero, which is kind of a nice shortcut. All right, so this army is like stacked. We ended up with a extra scout. I probably didn't need to hire the scout, but we have 2 archers, 2 pikemen, and a shaman and a hero. So this is actually a pretty solid army. We'll start sending it down. The scout, I'm just going to put on auto explorer again. Got a new one here, consolidate industry, +1 city stability for each adjacent province, improvement of the same type. So building a lot of the same ones in a similar space can be helpful. While we're talking about province improvements, let's take a look and see where we're at with this. So I've got the 3 quarries now, including this one, which is providing a little bit of mana and some draft because of the 2 adjacent quarries. And then I should have, okay, so we have an extra quarry over here. So I might not need that 4th quarry. We can convert it to something else, perhaps. Looks like my only options are a farm or a hut. Well, I don't really need another farm. Why do I have so many quarries? It's showing 5 quarries. Oh, it's because this one's not. I keep forgetting that Eastwatch is so close to us. Yeah, so we can replace this one with a mine. Let me just make sure. So this one can be replaced with a mine. That still gives us the 3 quarries. That still gives us the 3 farms. And then we need one more forester camp, which I can grab here when we're ready to do that. And then we're going to grab all these fish tiles. Go ahead and get Sundering Blades. That is going to start dropping our mana surplus, but that's fine. Wizard's Tower is now completed. Alright, so almost everything is boosted now. I wanted to do this Wildlife Sanctuary, and this counts as a forest, which would be good, except for the fact that I don't want to lose another territory just yet. So I think we'll wait on that. Let's go ahead and get the Masonic Hall, which will just build things a little bit quicker in the future. And then I do have access to a cavalry unit. This is a shock troop, very good for breaking defenses. Pretty powerful because it's a tier 3 unit, so it has pretty high health. These are the kinds of units we're going to need if we're going to take on those wonders later on, and probably have them leveled up as well. I'm not sure that I'm ready to start investing money into this just yet. They're pretty expensive, as you can see, and I like to keep a little bit of a surplus. So we're going to wait. I can move her there, though. And we can do this, and this is... So you can see the power of these 2 armies is just over 1,000. Let's auto-combat it and see how it turns out. I mean, I can't really complain about that. We didn't even lose our pups, which is nice. And our hero leveled up again. I'm going to go ahead and accept this, just because we can heal this off pretty quickly. Okay, aftermath of the Reckless Incinerators. We have a couple of options. So a unicorn is happy that we cleared out these demons. We could accept a unicorn as a new mount for our hero. Just gain a unicorn unit, or gain a whole bunch of mana crystals. I really like having the unicorn as a mount. So we'll go ahead and switch up this. The unicorn mount grants our hero the ability to phase. This gives us a teleport up to 4 tiles away. It costs 1 action point, but it actually consumes all your action points except for 1. So there might be something about this symbol which basically is indicating that. I'll have to kind of look at these in the future a little more closely. But basically, when you finish the phase, you will always have 1 action point left over. So that's kind of cool. If you move your full movement and you only have 1 action point left and you phase, you'll have 1 action point. If you stand still and you phase, you will go down to 1 action point, which is kind of counterintuitive. You would think that if you still had all of your action points when you phased, you'd still have 3 actions. That's not how it works, unfortunately. But it does provide us some cool repositioning power. And we hit level 5, which allows us our signature ability. So signature abilities are kind of neat. Let's take a second to talk about them. Whenever you hit 5 levels with a hero in the game up to level 20, you get a pool of 6 signature abilities. Each signature ability is pulled from a random pool of abilities. So you never know exactly which ones you're going to get, but you're going to get one for each essence of magic. And so there's a nature one, there's an order one, there's a shadow one, and so on. By selecting one of these, it's actually going to add an affinity point up here, so that can somewhat influence which one you might take. But all of the abilities are pretty interesting. Visions of Woe. Enemy units within 1 turn fumble their attacks. Damage is transferred to a unit with 20% reduction. Virulent Outbreak. For the units in a 1 hex radius, gain Rally, Bolstered Defense, and Bolstered Resistance. And then Dark Ritual. Enemies in a 1 hex radius sustain damage. All corpses in a 1 hex radius turn into zombies. I think I want to go for the Rallying Blessing, because this is kind of something we're doing every round anyways. Sort of stacking up all these bonuses, and then in addition to that, I can take Experienced Leader, Pack Leader, Defensive Training, Feudal Ruler is pretty good. Units adjacent to our hero get bonus to damage and defense. Strength Training just gives everybody in the army a bonus to damage. Let's do that one. Just give everybody more damage. Why not? Alright, so looks like there's an enemy scout. It's actually a skirmisher. I'm curious why it's glowing red, because I don't believe we've declared war yet. Ah, okay, so here we go. So we went from 14 to 21, so we got 7 points for the fabricated one. In order to get to the next tier of grievance, we needed to get another, I think we needed 28. What's the break point? 25. So on the 26th point of grievance, we get into this tier, which is what I was shooting for. We are 5 points short. So is there anything we could do? Other than like wait for him to trespass in our territory or do something like that, it doesn't appear that I can fabricate another grievance. So we're going to have to just roll with it. Now, I could declare this war now. Yes, that's correct. Slice mentioned we are justified. So what that means is we're not going to get any real penalties or bonuses. So we can declare war, and it's kind of moot. You will get at a minor war justification a little bit of evil alignment, but our good alignment is 15 points. So we'll probably go down to like 10, maybe 5. Not that bad. Not enough to knock us out of having good relations with other free cities and stuff. So I just need to decide whether we want to do it this turn or maybe get a little bit closer. I'm still curious why this is red. Because he's not in my territory. And while he's close enough to my territory that this is, so if I click on this tile, you can see that we both have claims on this tile. So I actually have a legitimate claim and he has a distant claim. The reason mine is a legitimate claim or a primary claim is because it is directly next to my border. So anything that is like one tile from my border or on my border is a claim. Anything that's more than one tile away is a distant claim. Because it takes 2 tiles to get to his border, he only gets a distant claim on it. If I did declare war on him, I could just like kill this unit real quick too. I do need to keep them in friendly territory for a turn. Let's go ahead and do it. Let's just declare a justified war. So now we're down to neutral. So I guess it did knock off our alignment with free cities, but that's fine. Or not our alignment, our alignment bonus to relations with free cities for being good. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Okay. Well, I didn't mean to end the turn. Whoops. That's fine. Okay. Well, he got away, but we'll be able to go ahead and start the siege. This will take us 2 turns with our current rate of siege. So this value right here is fortification damage. Units that have fortification damage will increase this amount. There are some spells and a few other things that can do that. And every turn, they will lose some of this fortification until it reaches 0, at which point we're allowed to attack. We cannot attack whatever's in this tile until then. But we can add some siege projects to either speed up this process or just to do whatever. So this one here will increase physical damage, which is nice. This one adds additional breaches in the walls and also speeds up the rate at which that will decay, although it'll be irrelevant to this particular situation. I think we'll just do this one. One important thing to note is that once this starts, you cannot change these or add to them. You can only pick this at the very beginning of a siege, and unless you want to lift the siege and start all over, you can't change these. So we'll go ahead and keep that active. They're pretty much healed up now, so we can move them into position. This army can move down to reinforce. And we got 2 turns to wait before this fight can happen. That 2 turns does allow him something like summoning Rally of Lieges potentially, or moving an army that's pretty close into position to help defend. So while at a glance it looks like we're just going to destroy this guy, that could change very quickly. We have another city that can be integrated once we get our Imperium up. Until then, we're going to get a nice chunk of economy from them, so that's good. And we do have this trade option, but I'm going to pass on it again because it doesn't look very good. This one's still working on it. This one is one that I need. So I am going to go ahead and grab that. And that gives us the 3 plants that we needed, magical materials, which now gives us another 10 Imperium per turn. So pretty good. We can go ahead and launch this spell that we prepared. One of the big changes from this game to some of the previous titles is I really like the way you can sort of prep all your spells in advance and just sort of hold them there. So we don't have to cast this right now. We can wait, for example, the 2 turns while we're sieging and then cast it right before the battle. And that's going to save us a couple of points of mana upkeep. But we could do that if we wanted. The other thing you can do is you can prepare your world map spells. For example, spells that like do damage to an army or something like that, and then hold them in reserve till you're ready to use them. The downside of that is you have to remember that you have them and remember to use them at the appropriate time. So rather than potentially forget to cast this at the most optimal time, I'm just going to go ahead and cast it. Before I actually do, it is going to show me what the upkeep cost currently will be, and this is why, because we have all of these units here. So we'll go ahead and enchant them. But each time those melee units attack going forward, they're going to reduce the defenses of the units they hit and soften them up for future attacks. All right, so we know about that, and we know about that. What else is going on? What's the cheapest thing we can build? We can build the town hall. Actually, that's pretty pricey, but let's go ahead and build this institute just to give us a little bit more research. All right, and we've now got all the spells we need for our next Tome of Magic. We have now moved up to Tier 2 tomes, so all the tomes in this Tier 2 list are going to be different than the ones that we were looking at in the previous selection. And keep in mind the affinity points that we might want to invest into. So we got 1 extra infinity point for our hero power that we picked up in the order tree. If we want to get more order, we could maybe grab an order tome, or if we want more materium, we could grab that, or I could go heavier into nature. So we'll just have to decide. This one's kind of interesting, but I really like the nature tomes. This one in particular, the ability to create forests, aspect of the root, gives a really cool defensive ability. The Entwined Protector is a pretty powerful Tier 4 shield unit. And then the Glade Runner is a pretty good Tier 3 archer. So this is I really like this tome. Yeah, let's go ahead and grab this one. That's also going to help us move up the nature tree a little faster.
The verdant leaf, might in the branch of the yew. Blessed are those who tend to the forests and let this verdant emerald blanket unfurl over the lands.
Okay.
Such guardians of the glade will find that the land repays its protectors in natural power.
So down at the bottom here, we can see we need 4 research cycles in order to unlock our next tome. All of these are Tier 3 spells with the 3-turn cost at our current level of research. I really like all of these, to be honest. But I'm not sure I want to lock any one of them in. I think getting better archers is going to be pretty important. So let's go ahead and lock that research in and get those guys ready to start cranking out. Spell-wise, I do have the ability to cast this, which I should do so that it's ready to go before we fight. Mana still looks pretty good, so upkeep isn't becoming an issue just yet. Stacking too many of these will definitely make that a problem. Okay, so this guy's going to be dead. We'll decide on combat. Looks like all of our scouts are going down. That's fine. It's just going to increase our upkeep cost, or sorry, decrease our upkeep cost, so we can get more armies. Ah, that was interesting. Oh my. Okay, lots of things going on the map there that we need to look at. We got a quest from the cat folk. Okay. Vorga Bloodspitter will be added to our recruitment pool for a really cheap price. We don't really need another hero right now, and I don't know that I want to get involved in this. This is going to take them longer to become a vassal or a supreme vassal, and this is going to give us more evil alignment, which I'm not really interested in at the moment. It would speed up this process. But this isn't really Lionel Johnson's style, so this thing, that was kind of a cool animation for a tier 3 worm unit just moving through the tunnels down there. Out of curiosity, these things do have an evolve. Okay, so these things will possibly evolve into one of these. Huh, that's pretty cool. I've seen these units before, but I didn't realize that they evolved into a big one. So that animation was neat. But the other thing that I noticed was this. I like that they did this. So we saw an enemy ship moving through the fog of war over here, just briefly, but briefly enough to mark it. And so that's what these marks mean, is that an enemy unit moved through those tiles. That means we could have an enemy army of some substance moving on our city, and I don't like that. I don't think we need both of these stacks to fight this, so I'm gonna move this unit back towards our capital, and just in case there actually is some kind of an army trying to flank us. I don't think the AI is that smart, but you never know. Okay, so she's denouncing the Root Seeker. That's providing a penalty to relationships with every other ruler and the Root Seeker. Not really too concerned with that. I can cast this spell, which will make our shield-wielding guys a little tougher to drop. And we have one turn left on the siege, so we're in prime position here. I have enough mana to cast Summon Animal and get one more unit into this army before we end up fighting. So we'll want to make sure we cast that spell before we actually start the engagement. Just out of curiosity, is there anything else that I'm interested in? City stability, I don't care so much about at the moment. Outposts we're not building. This is an interesting one that creates a small army of tier 1 units by removing a population from every city that you own, and can be a great way to get an emergency army deployed to help defend the territory that you weren't thinking about. We could grab another Whispering Stone, but I would much rather grab things over in these two trees, I think, at the moment. So we'll just keep building up our reserves for now. That animation is really cool. I really like that. Wow. Okay. I'm going to take control of this last scout and actually kind of move him not so much into this battle, because I really don't care if he's in the battle, but just away from other things so that he can't easily be killed. Having a scout near your army but sort of off to the front is a good way to help prevent you from being ambushed. Right, the rock needs to finish producing a building of some type. So the Wizard's Tower, once you get it built up enough, has some interesting add-ons. This is one of them. If you're playing really aggressively with your hero, having a 1-turn reduction to your respawn on your ruler, as well as being able to respawn with full health, is pretty cool. Also gain access to a spell that will recall the ruler and their army to the throne room, or the throne city. So kind of like a quick teleportation spell, but it only applies to your ruler and his army. But that can be useful if you're playing on a very, very big map. We're going to be producing a lot of military units here pretty quickly. So getting a couple of buildings that boost draft would be nice. So perhaps that for now. Okay, they're mad at us. So they're basically threatening to declare war on us if we don't do something nice to them, like pay off a grievance or give them a city or some loot of some kind. I actually want to start a war with her, so I'm not too concerned about it at the moment. I just want to make sure that we're able to finish this war before that one starts. Alright, and we're still saving up. Next turn we can probably get that city if we really wanted it. Summon Wild Animal is now ready. Give her another army. Alright. And I'm gonna disable that. We don't really need that. In fact, I probably don't even need both of these army stacks, but Alright, so now that we've captured a city, we have a choice to make. We can vassalize it, we can raise it to the ground, we can absorb the city's population, where it will keep its racial brutal catfolk population, or we can migrate Dark Angels. This is an evil thing to basically migrate people out of a city that they belong to. Absorbing it usually is the cheapest thing, or vassalizing it if you don't really want to have control of it and you want it to defend itself. Raising it is usually evil as well, yeah. So the real question is, do we want another vassal or do we want another city? I kind of want to grab that city on the other side of the map. So I think we're just going to vassalize these guys for now, which will take 2 turns. Now, unfortunately, until that happens, this territory does not count as friendly territory. So for the next 2 turns, we're kind of just stuck here not being able to heal. But we do have some movement. And we do have some stacks that need to be cleared out of here. And that's going to help level up some of these units. So I'll go ahead and take the damage. Okay, so one of the special traits that we get with the feudal faction are these lord traits that are unique. None of the other factions get these. And these are where you can get big bonuses to a particular governor. So the Lord of Knowledge would give us a significant boost to knowledge. Magic's going to give us mana crystals. And then the Lord of Production is going to get building income. I think since I plan on using her and her army as basically an animal army, having the extra mana crystals might be good. But before we pick that, let's see if there's something else that might be good. Pack leader could be really good because we are going to have a lot of animal units here. Experienced leader could also be good because a lot of animal units evolve. And I think I'm actually going to take that one to help those low-level animal units evolve more quickly without having to get in as many fights. That being said, we do probably want to move her back into friendly territory for a turn. And this scout, I just kind of want to carefully sneak into this area here so I can see what's going on. All right, I don't see that army. So the question is, do I really want to pull this army back to defend, or do we just sort of wait it out? Like, we're within 1 turn of that. Can move like 1 or 2 tiles more. Yeah, so I'm kind of like in a position to move to defend that city or to move down here and help support if I need to. And we can just put her on guard for a while, and that way she'll stop showing up in the queue. I just need to remember that she's there. Alright, this guy can move up here, and maybe we'll clear out these demons and this desecrated temple. See how that goes. There's a watchtower over here that will give us some vision of this area. It would be nice to have. And then I do need 1 more turn in order to grab that city. So, no worries. Time to end the turn. Okay. One thing to keep in mind, even if we wipe this guy out on the surface, he does still have a city underneath the ground. It does not, however, look like it's his throne city. So he might be knocked out of the game either way. A new rally of lieges started. We now have the ogre units from our wonder camp that we were looking at earlier. We have some more feline units from Halheim, some from Sullyville. So if we need another army, we have 15 points this time, and the prices are roughly the same. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, we can pick up all of these because of our bonuses here. We have 3 stacks of hasteberries. Wow. When you have multiple stacks like this, one of the things that you should probably start doing is looking to trade with other empires that you want to befriend. You can trade hasteberries. They will go down by 1 each time you're trading with another AI. So you don't want to do that unless you have enough for yourself. But when you have multiple like this, you could definitely trade some of those away and make some money. Or maybe trade for one of the other ones you're missing. Alright, we got that Arcane Institute. We need a second farm down here. And I would say it's okay to spend 18 Imperium on this. To pick up another farm. So let's grab that farm. And then we get the boost for this, making that a little cheaper. Get some more money. Alright, we now have Glade Runners. Let's get these entwined protectors made. Alright, and here I can spend 100 to rush that blacksmith and get the armory started. And we can start making Glade Runners. So all of these units are getting kind of pricey. That's why I'm investing so much of our production into getting more gold buildings. Because we want to crank out a bunch of these units. But I'll go ahead and start one of them. That still gives us a little bit of gold to work with if something happens on the rollover for the turn. And then manually controlling this scout. I wish we had the technology or the research done where we could hide in forests with camouflage. That would be nice because this allows you to sort of sneak up on people and get good vision. You can actually, once you have that ability, sort of just park your scouts in key locations around the trees and put them in guard mode. And they'll just keep vision on areas for you where nobody can really harass them. It's kind of neat. She can move back to there for now. And that's going to allow her to heal for a turn. We can clear this out. Easy peasy, I'm sure. Oh my. That seems ridiculous. So we will retry that battle. And this will pretty much wrap up this session. We're already 10 minutes over an hour. So I was hoping to just finish this really quick, but it didn't quite work out that way. Okay, so the most important unit here is going to be our Bannerman. We'll go ahead and move him to there. Sort of move our other units around the Bannerman. And end our turn. Alright, let's cast that. bypass that. And let's see here. Okay. So we actually have 3 shots from here. This is that extended range I was telling you guys about. Pretty awesome that we have range from this far away. So I'm going to go ahead and take these shots, but before I do, I want to think if there's anything else I want to do. Holding control tells me it's a long-range shot. That's why I have the minus 40 penalty for range. But we're going to get 3 of them, so let's go ahead and take those. Nice, we hit all 3 of them. That worked out pretty well. I got 3 shots on this unit. Unfortunately, this guy has the displacement ability, so as soon as we land 1 hit, he's going to teleport somewhere else. So I would much rather shoot one of these 2. Which means we're going to have to move up. We'll get 2 shots at that one, or 2 shots at that one. I think we'll take 2 shots at that one. Alright, we could definitely get that unit off the field this turn if we wanted to. Yeah, we'll have to move our hero into a little bit of a difficult spot, but he has the teleport ability, so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to move him there. We'll have him soak the first hit, because he'll get 1 retaliation strike. And then these guys can finish that unit off. I can move these guys here. So what that's going to do is basically protect the flank of these units, potentially. Or I could move there. I kind of want to keep these guys from engaging my ranged units, but unfortunately they have the slippery trait. Slippery is a trait that all skirmisher units get, and it basically means they don't trigger attacks of opportunity when they walk in and out of your control range. So the best I can do is basically just move there to block him. Let's move here and use him to boost the defenses of these other guys. So that's going to boost both of these guys' defenses as well. Alright, our hero's a little beat up. Alright, this unit has some powerful magic, and I don't get penalized for moving because it only takes 1 action point to cast it. So we want to get as close as we can to one of these demons who are weak to spirit damage. All right. I have the potential to kill these guys with a really good roll. But I could get a much better shot with 2. See if we get lucky here. Yep, good job. Okay, go ahead and get in here. Soak the retaliation attack. Get those crits. Now we can just finish him off with these guys, or with our hero. And then last but not least, we can get in here and get a swing on these guys, which will cause them to displace. I don't really have any spells. I probably should have cast Call to Glory again, but no big deal. I can save my mana for later. Alright, so the first attack needs to be this guy from probably right there. And then I guess we could just cast this to make this a little bit easier. Alright, well we didn't lose a unit, but we definitely took more damage than I would have suspected. Unfortunately, I'm still not going to be able to heal much this turn. And I kind of want to be wary of running into the enemy. Because this is all kind of fog of war, so we kind of know what's there, but we kind of don't. I also wanted to get this tower. Let's risk it for the biscuit. We'll get this tower a little bit quicker this way. And then this should be rolling over to us next turn. So we'll be able to finish this off and heal in this territory very quickly. Bring this army in and send 2 armies down to take what is the Throne City. Now, if the hero happens to be in this fight, which is very likely, and we take the Throne City and the hero together, this player will be knocked out of the game and will be down to 2 enemies that we still need to get rid of or ally with. I fully intend to get rid of this one. Depending on what the third hero is, who lives somewhere underground as far as I can tell, we may try to ally with them, and if we can get them to become an ally, then we'll basically have no more enemies on the map and we will win a military victory. So that's kind of the long-term game plan. Slice says nicely done. I don't think it was that nicely done. I definitely keep making the big mistake of not casting my spells on my second and third turn. I need to remember to do that more. With other factions, the spells are a little bit more offensive, and they don't require the kind of setup that the feudal spells sometimes do, where you got to position all your guys to get the most out of them. But I have a real hard time remembering that. I just get too into the fighting. But that's it for today. 2 videos today, maybe 2 videos for the rest of the week. We'll see. I'm off for a couple of days, but I do have a lot of errands to run to get ready for my vacation. And then I'll be back starting next week, sometime middle of next week, and we'll pick this one up if we haven't finished it by the time I leave. Otherwise, if we have, I will need people to start giving me suggestions for a new Primarch to put into the game so that we can play as another Primarch from 40k, because I'm having a lot of fun with that. So until next time, this has been the Nose Plays, and you guys have a great day.